Hey everyone, this is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology, and today we are going to take a look at Mercury's sextile to Venus. It is a nice, quick little sextile, but a powerful one, and I'm going to explain why in today's video, as well as share a story with you that highlights or represents the Mars-Venus square that passed through yesterday and is still separating today. So I did a video about yesterday, the live cast, but just like unbelievable timing, the way that that showed up in my own life. And so I thought, once in a while, I like to share how the transits affect me personally, just to illustrate how amazing astrology is. You can't make this stuff up. All right. So first of all, I'm going to share the real-time clock with you all. And I'm going to tell this story first, and I'd love to hear your stories as well. So please be sure to put them into the chat box and tell me how you have experienced the Venus-Mars dynamic. All right. So here is what I want to do. I want to put this back yesterday. Now, I'm going to put Taurus on the ascendant because in my birth chart, I'm a Taurus rising. So now, transits don't always affect everyone at the same time and in the same way because it has a lot to do with how the transits are interacting with placements in your natal chart. Right now, for example, the sun in my chart is you go about 23 and a half Cancer. That's July 16th. That's when I was born. Now, so I have Pluto's currently opposing the sun in my chart, which means the sun is real active. So if you get a transit right to a planet that's being really activated by another moving planet, say like Saturn is also opposing the sun in my chart right now. So there's a lot of emphasis on home and family, because the sun in my chart rules the fourth house of Leo. As you can see, I'm a Taurus rising, Leo's in my fourth, the sun is the ruler of the fourth. It's getting activated by Saturn, by Jupiter, by Pluto. So we just had a big move. My dad had some health problems earlier in the summer. Lots of sun, fourth house kind of stuff going on for me right now. Our house is up for sale. So this transit can affect those topics, this Mars-Venus transit, because you've got Venus, just to illustrate how transits work, Venus sitting right around the sun in my chart, and then Mars in the square. And of course, you've got Saturn sitting in there and Pluto and stuff like that too. So this is one of those on, if you take my year 2 class, which comes after my first year program, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic. A lot of people take my year 2 class. In my year 2 class, we talk a lot about how to track transits, and it's never just, oh, there's a transit happening, so that'll just just plug it into my chart. It'll affect me. A lot of transits you won't even notice. You'll be like, well, where was that one? And then suddenly another transit will be like, wow, that one was really loud. And people are always wondering why that is. Well, it's just because of this. You have to know what's going on in your natal chart to know which types of transits are most likely to add their influence into the mix or speak a little bit more loudly. So, all right, so check this out. So here's what happened. You have Venus in the 3rd house and Mars in the 12th. Well, remember, our house is for sale. We've moved to Minneapolis, and we have an agent that's helping us sell our house back in Maryland. So unfortunately, someone decided to break into the house and I guess like smoke a little weed, something like that. We don't really know what they were doing, but that's our best guess, is that maybe some kids came in and decided to hang out inside of an empty house. So look at how perfectly this is described. You have the 12th house, which among many other things can involve hidden or secret enemies or loss, or things that are taken from you, or in a lot of other things as well. So these are kind of a difficult Mars in the 12th house. And then you have Venus in Cancer in the 3rd house, which among other things represents your neighborhood. And Venus in Cancer is a nice picture in the 3rd house right over my sun of the the home space, the Cancerian, the peace in the home, right? Peace and loveliness on the home front, Venus in Cancer. And remember, we said in yesterday's video, Mars is overcoming Venus right now, which means it's dominating Venus within their relationship, because Mars has the right-handed aspect of the superior square over Venus. In ancient astrology, the planets would, kind of, when they got especially into their squares, that one planet would typically have more dominance within the relationship than the other. Well, Mars has that right now, right? So that's That's pretty remarkable. And there you have it with Mars directly overcoming Venus. So there is like probably, I mean, it was pretty harmless. There was no damage done, thankfully, but they broke into the house and apparently just hung out inside of our empty house. So, that's Mars dominating Venus from a superior square. And of course, this could have much deeper ramifications because we're trying to sell the house, because that could certainly, creep people out. Our neighborhood is really safe and nothing like that has ever happened. But, there's a big empty house with a for sale sign on it. It's possible that, best guess is that some teenagers were messing around. They didn't find any signs of anyone, spending the night or squatting or anything like that. That's not, it's possible, but that's not something that we would ever expect. Never seen anything like that in our neck of the woods anyhow. So that is a short story of how you can see the transit play out. Got the 12th house theme of, among other things, like, people like secret or hidden enemies, which can also be like intruders or people that break and enter, or thievery was associated with Mars in the 12th house in traditional astrology. So, and then of course it's dominating Venus in the third, which in this case, right over the sun in my chart, which rules my 4th house of home and family and property. So bummer. That sucked. And today they're having to, replace a little part of the window on the back door, right? Can you believe that? People, so mean. But it was a good chance for me to practice what I preach. If you heard me give my talk yesterday, the live talk, I was talking about how, when things happen like this, you can sit back and you can go, you can really get upset. And there was a moment where I was like, oh, come on, because I don't want this to potentially set back any offers that are on the table or that could be on the table or whatever. So I was really bummed about it. But it could have been worse. What if we were still there and someone was, high or drunk or something and tried to do something like that? I highly doubt that. Our neighborhood is, again, I'm pretty sure it was the fact that the house is empty and that someone just felt like messing around with it. But isn't it true that you sit there and you go, well, it could have been worse? And doesn't that, for me, that instantly helps me to feel better. This is unfortunate. I'm not trying to say it isn't. And it's okay for me to be upset about it, but it could have been worse. And I'm okay, and my family's okay, and the house is okay, and it's going to be okay. And also to open up my hands, and say thank you for letting me receive this experience, this karma. Last spring, there was some other difficult aspects in the sky, and we had a small, very small, thankfully, house fire in the house. Now, this is Pluto opposing, remember, the ruler of my house of home and property. So we've had a few moments with that house where it was potentially this big loss, and then it ended up being okay. But in that moment too, I thought, okay, this is, I've been thinking about this transit for years. And among all of the scenarios that I could have imagined, this is not the worst. And so I just have to open my arms, kind of to receive the medicine of the moment and to say thank you, and to recognize again that it could have been worse, but wasn't. The other thing that for me personally, that I get because I'm an astrologer, is I get the wonder of being isn't astrology amazing? Isn't it amazing that the sky cares at all to speak to us and reassure us that there is a sacred intelligence behind everything that's happening? And so I said a prayer last night. We have evening prayers before we go to bed, the kids and, my wife and I, we do our little prayers. And part of my prayer was we pray to Krishna every night. That's a part of our bhakti practice. So I was talking to Krishna and I was like, I pray that whoever it was that came into the house, maybe they got some small blessing by virtue of being in the house, because we filled that house with a lot of prayer and a lot of song. And, that was our little ashram. And so if there's anything good in that house at all, left over from chanting your holy names, then maybe there's some chance that vibration made it into their hearts. And also, my prayer is also that they would find that they would receive mercy, because there's karma for doing things like that. And so the other prayer that we prayed was just that there be mercy for the people who did that, because um, again, like if we pray for our enemies, immediately we're not further entangling ourselves in the karma. When we see our enemies like enemies and we get really pissed off and like that, it often entangles us more. And so the simple way of being liberated from the bondage of the karma that's happening is to say, I'm upset, I'm sad. It was a little bit of a shock, a little scary. But also I pray for this person who would do this, because they must be suffering to do something like this. And if we can keep that perspective and say these prayers honestly with some degree of sincerity, they're not formulas. We're saying that we have to find the sincerity to really mean these things that we say. But if we can do things like that, in my opinion, it really helps to receive the medicine that's being administered all around. And so anyway, isn't it amazing, though, that when you have astrology in your life, that when things like this happen, you have something there that can hold your hand and give you an entire cosmos, a cosmos that is so kind that it will speak to someone. There were, so, when they're showing the house, they had a little bowl of, I guess, like chocolates or something, to make it like when you walk in, there's like little thing that you take to get information about the house. And there's like a little bowl of chocolates. Apparently all the chocolates were gone, which is why we were speculating that it was some pot smokers. Like, of course they mouthed the chocolates. Anyway, but isn't it amazing that the cosmos could bear witness to something as stupid as maybe some teenagers, breaking into the house and maybe smoking some weed and eating our chocolates? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. To me, that's like, it's not the biggest event in the world, but the astrology was not only pinpoint accurate in terms of the houses, the planets, the domination of Mars over Venus, so many things, but also that it's such an insignificant event that is now sanctified. Like that is now, like, that event will never ever be just a stupid inconvenience. It's wrapped up in the bodies of the stars. It's like I don't know. It's just, for me, that's like, and that's how, like, when that kind of thing happens, like when I hit my japa beads for the day, and I start chanting, it's like, man, my chanting has a little extra, it's like throwing some gas on the fire. I'm just so pumped because something real has happened. And even though it was painful, somehow it's just imbued with divinity. And like, how can you not just want to sing and chant and glorify our source when something like that happens? How can you not want to sit back and look at that and just behold that and be like, that's amazing? So anyway, I wanted to share this story today, hopefully to encourage you, because you might be experiencing something like this as well. Also, of course, right before we got this news, my wife and I were also having a kind of like, what do I want to call it? Like a, like a banterish debate about more masculine versus more feminine ways of doing something in particular in the home. It's just like so stupid, and it was really pretty insignificant, but it was so funny that we were sort of battling about that, and like my like meta astro mind is being like, you're totally getting caught up in the transits right now. This is so stupid. And you're arguing a point. You're being like Mars. Your wife is being like Venus. You're being like more domineering than you should be in this conversation that really does not matter. And why are you doing this? You're getting caught up by the stars. 10 minutes later, the phone rings and it's like, yeah, some 12th house, some 12th house, punks. Someone in your neighborhood broke the peace, and they came in and smoked pot and stole your open house candies. It's like, all right, well, there it is. There's Mr. Rogers' neighborhood has been burst apart by Mars. And instantly there, I was like, you know what? My wife wins. I was like, she wins hands down. I as I told her what was happening, and like, I I like then told her about the transits and everything like that. And she just had this look on her face like, yeah. Anyway, so okay, well, I hope that I would love to hear your stories. What have you been experiencing? Please tell me about it. I thought that you guys would like this story. It's a really good object lesson in astrology. Please send prayers for the protection of the home and property. There looks to be probably a really nice family who might be ready to make an offer, and it's a really safe neighborhood, and it's a beautiful little house, and I really hope that they're not creeped out by it. If if that's something that suddenly they think, oh no, the neighborhood's unsafe, and I'm like, oh man, no, swear to God, it was probably a couple kids smoking a joint and they saw the empty house. So anyway, send some prayers for protection for the house. We would love that. Really appreciative. Anyway, meanwhile, today, as I'm talking, let me put the real-time clock up now. So today, what's happening? Well, there is a really nice aspect forming between Mercury and Venus. Now, why is this significant? Because right after Venus separates from Mars, having gotten maybe beaten a little bit beaten up by Mars, Venus is just about to change signs and go into Leo, where it will now harmonize with Mars a little bit better. And we'll get out of the opposition from Saturn as well, which also can be tough. But right as it's doing so, remember that Mercury has recently appeared as the evening star in its own sign and in its exaltation. A really powerful and effective Mercury. And what is Mercury doing? Harmonizing with Venus. Okay, so this is really nice because immediately it is as though some kind of negotiation or help or repair or restoration is possible. In fact, I am anticipating a call with someone to figure out how to replace a little bit of the glass on the door, right? So probably my guess is, I could be wrong, but my guess is with Mercury sextiling Venus, it's going to be quick, affordable, easy. The solution should come very naturally. And also, my guess would be that either today or tomorrow that an offer, may solidify back in Maryland where our house is. So why do I feel that way? Well, because of things that have been developing, right? But because right after Venus hits Mars and there's this kind of hardship, then you've got this feeling of agreement, negotiation, compromise, resolution, understanding, Venus-Mercury dynamic. So this is a really, and Venus is in the position of the overcoming sextile. So Venus is asserting itself over Mercury, which means making the peace, harmonizing, finding friendly, pleasant ways of doing things. That's going to really influence Mercury right now. Mercury has a lot of power as the evening star, having just appeared, and is heralding something. So agreement or compromise or resolution after a period of turmoil or difficulty or conflict or hostility. So this has the look of some peaceful, not happily ever after in the cosmic sense, but like a little moment of happily ever after. So watch for that today. This aspect it's just perfecting right now. You can see that Mercury is at 2808 and Venus is at 2814. So if we take this forward just a little bit, you're going to see that, by afternoon today, they get together. Here they are at 2825. So you'll notice by mid-afternoon, they're perfecting their sextile. Really, this should be really nice. And so I wanted to mention this to you guys as well, because I thought, well, if the proverbial SHIT has hit the fan for anyone else last night or in the past couple of days with Venus and Mars kind of being a little bit naughty, right? If Mars has been a little bit of a pain in your butt, the nice thing is that Venus picks up this really harmonizing sextile with Mercury, speaking kindly, friendliness, friendship, agreement, harmony. It's where, when you're a kid and you go to you go to the lunch table and everyone's like starting to trade stuff at the lunch table. and there's something you really want, and you're like, there's no way anyone's going to take my carrots for the or the fruit roll up or whatever whatever it is. And some kids like, yeah, I'd love carrots, that'd be great, here's my fruit roll up. Just that kind of day where where you feel like, how could this probably isn't going to work. You're feeling a little bit beat up, like, I've got, my mom gave me some damn carrots but let me see if I can get a fruit roll up out of it, and you will. So anyway, I'm cracking myself up. So I would love to hear what kind of fruit roll-ups you're getting from your carrots today. So feel free to share in the comments section, or what kinds of what ways in which, or how are you seeing Mercury and Venus manifesting in your life today? I'd love to hear from you guys. And also, please tell me how Venus and Mars and their square last night. If you got anything big to share, I'd really love to hear other stories. It's also fun to get out of my own head about, my own story and hear other people. So please do share. Remember that my new class, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic, is coming up on November 14th. It's a year-long course in ancient Hellenistic astrology, focusing on how to read birth charts. There's 30 lessons on the year, 2 to 3 hours each, with about a third of the course dedicated to live client readings, so you can see how theory and philosophy is implemented with real people, real souls. And we have 12 guest lectures outside of those 30 lectures. You can participate remotely, or you can participate live. We have need-based tuition for those who are struggling financially, especially due to COVID. That's an option for you. Also have the early bird discount. It's in effect now. You can save over $500 on the course if you sign up for the early bird. And there's a payment plan as well. If you have any questions about it, feel free to email me, info@nightlightastrology.com. Otherwise, the website's nightlightastrology.com, and you can look at the course page to learn more about that offering. Saturdays and coming up soon. So I hope to see some of you in class. And I hope you enjoyed today's exploration of Mercury and Venus. All right, take it easy, everyone. Bye.